Honestly, money is not the main things. However, everybody wants to be financially secure.
Money always been the end goal for you when you started in this industry?
And people get to the lots of debt and then service their debt. Can I get ahead in that or no with the profession that I have? And do I want to carry those things with myself? When I go home, I don't worry about the Monday's bills and everything. I want to have that peace of mind. Everyone, every father, they want the best for their children.
So true.
If I am a young and I have some money aside, I want to go to the business, and then through business I make money and buy the house. So if I work for someone, my cash flow is not in my control; it's in the hands of someone else's control.
Welcome to our first episode of our podcast, where real conversation meet real strategy and real implementation. Today, our guest is a very successful entrepreneur named Saeed Rizi, a 10-year plus veteran in financial industry who has navigated his way from scarcity to abundance. We'll be covering these following very important financial topics. So whether you're starting from scratch or you're planning to level up your portfolio, make sure to take advantage of these strategies. It has helped me and it can definitely help you. Let's get started with your financial journey. Welcome, Saeed, for our first podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting.
Good. And you know what? I still remember the first time we met. It was almost like 12 years back. You being the giant in the industry, I know you've been there for 23 years now so far, and you've trained hundreds and hundreds of licenses in the industry. So a quick question, Saeed, on this one is like, has money always been the end goal for you when you started in this industry?
Hey, Manmeet, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and it's a great pleasure to be with you in this podcast. And I hope that today we'll be able to share some experience to people. But no, you talk about has the money always been? Honestly, money is not the main things. However, everybody wants to be financially secure.
So true.
That's true. We think of that. It's not a priority, but what we can do with money in our life and quality of life that we can build with the money is a priority. Of course, everyone wants to have that one.
So I'm sure like when you came in, there's always been a debt mindset that everybody has in Canada. You know what? They have mortgage, they have car loan. How did you shift your mindset from that debt mindset to wealth management? What were some of the habits that helped you change that and come into what you are right now?
You know, my mate, when I came and landed here, like everybody else, and you look for a job to have a lifestyle and pay your living expenses. And I got started. I got a job. My professions and engineering, and that times I look at that, and I saw that here I have to work around. I was 35 years old, and I have to work 30 years to 65.
Yes.
And just service the mortgage and service the car payment and pay the bills. And I saw numbers of example of that. And people get to the lots of debt and then service their debt. And can I get ahead in that or no with the profession that I have? And do I want to carry those things with myself? Because financially, be financially independent. Be financially independent and have a peace of mind. When the lack of money and loss of debt will be built, stress is going to kick in.
Can't get enough sleep
So,
then.
so you can't sleep. So that was my main things. When I go home, I don't worry about the Monday's bills and everything. I wanna have that peace of mind. That's the number one things I don't want to bring happiness and things to my families. That's what will happen. But how can I get out of that trap? Because this is what's happening. People come and they're excited. They buy the house. They think they own a house. They own a big loan. They want to have a car. They own a loan against. And they want to go on vacation, everything. They don't have money. They use their credit cards, everything they get. And we get to that trap. And when I look at 30 years of my working time, I have 30 years ahead of me.
Absolutely.
And if I make $100,000 per year, at that time, engineer was making 65. And average at 100,000 throughout the 30 years is a 3 million. And then there's a 30% or 35%, 39% tax on that. That's a gross income.
I remember that you did the training on that.
Yeah. And then what will happen? What remain? I pay the bills and I pay the mortgages and pay car payments. I pay kids' education. So everything, nothing left. I calculate that I'm minus 1,000 or 2,000. Husband and wife usually works and rarely they make it to the end. So what's going to happen? Are we going to live like this or no? Then they have to make some decision. They have to study different industries and make some decision for the shift.
I'm sure as a family grows, these thoughts pour in more and more, right? You got beautiful family, you got a wife, you got kids, and those things get you so emotional that you know what, I need to provide that security all the time.
Absolutely. Everyone, every father, every mother,
Absolutely.
they want the best for their children.
So true.
They want the best for their families. They want. But a couple of things that people need to consider. Do they have the opportunity for that? They want. The wanting is there. They have the opportunity. Do they see the platform? Then the second stage is, do they have a mindset to see?
That was got my follow-up question. Like, you know what? How did you change that mindset of entering the industry as an individual advisor, then building this giant empire that is self-running and self-growing, and because you provide such an amazing leadership to them?
When you look at that job, job system, 85%, I cannot exactly say, but over 85% of populations work in the employer-employee system.
Absolutely. I was one of them.
And I was one of them too, but is this the place that I want to be? Is this where I'm going to go? Is this going to give my family the quality of life and financial independence? Also, we as an immigrant, we have some family back home. We have our parents, and some people live here. They have their parents over here.
Absolutely.
And I saw that the parents, the families, they're struggling as well and depending on their kids, and the kids are struggling on their own life. So it's a cycle. Do I want to stay in that cycle? And I decided, no, I don't want. Then I have to look for it and get there. So I don't want to look at that. When I started here, I saw a couple of things is not in my control. Number one is tax. Tax is not in my control. It's just government heavy tax. But my cash flow is in my control.
So true.
So if I work for someone, my cash flow is not in my control, it's in the hands of someone else controls. But if I work for myself as a self-employed or become an entrepreneur, build a business, my cash flow is in my control. Then I have no problem make more money and pay tax, and whatever left will be enough or more than enough to build financial independence for me. We cannot eliminate that, but we can change the path. And many people are doing that in this country. That's what got me there.
So that's just a beautiful thing that you just said. Like with that 12 years, like it's still like gave me the goosebumps. You said, you know what, the taxes are not in our control, but the cash flow is.
Of course.
Right? And when somebody is allowing somebody else to control their cash flow, they're not in the control of their life, essentially.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. And then it comes to choose the line.
Yeah.
There are many industries there. When I started, some people told me, okay, go and in the real estate industry or mortgage
That's
industry.
a very popular industry in Canada.
Very, very popular. Many people wants to go. And then go in, for example, franchise, get one of those franchise restaurants, Subway, or some pizza stores and everything. I check all those things.
Mm-hmm.
As a person that I'm very analytical, I check everything before I make a decision, because I cannot go 10, 15 years and suddenly look at that, oh, I choose the wrong path. Mm-hmm. That 10 years is gone.
Yeah, we don't have that much time.
We don't have that much time. So I have to do my homework, due diligence. And I don't want someone else does the homework for me, because it's not someone else going through that path. It's me that I'm going through that path. So I have to understand the path, and I have to like it as well. That's very important. So I check that. I check real estate. I check the mortgage line. And I look at the potential cash flow.
Okay, yeah.
That's very important. I did my homework. What's the potential cash flow? And also I look at that. I came to the point that, do I want to be always, I am the person, even in a self-employed part, make a move and make the cash flow. I want to build an organization. I want to be part of a system that if I work for 5 years crazy, and then after that, it doesn't mean I sit and do nothing. I will be around it, manage it, lead it, and generate a passive income. So I choose that our industry is the only industry that can generate that. Wow. It's one of the best. If I can say absolute only, but 90% is effective.
Like this is what we tell in our office as well when we're training people, is that, you know what, this business gives you the privilege that, you know what, I ask this question to individuals: do you own a business, or are you the business?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because if you are not there and the business collapses, that means you don't have a business.
Of course.
Oh, that's good. No, I really appreciate it, like you explaining that. So coming to the next talk on that, like, why would you say that? How important is the financial education for an individual and family? And what we have seen most of the time is people ignore financial advisors compared to how they treat a doctor, lawyers, or dentist. Like, imagine you get all the money to see those doctor, lawyer, dentists if you have a good finance, but they ignore the financial advisors.
I understand what you say. This is people. This is human nature and habits. But if you look at that, when they need a doctor, they go to the doctor. Question is, how many people regularly go for a checking up their health? Not many. But when they have some pain, they go to see the doctor. Yes, here in Canada, we need to have family doctor or clinics or everything. So even if you look at the habit of people, even for the doctors, they don't, they don't choose doctors. When they get sick, they go to doctor.
Yes, very true.
Okay. Yeah. And if they are in trouble and they need lawyer, they go to the lawyer. No one that has no trouble hire the lawyer and say, this is my lawyer. No one go to the lawyer and say, okay, you are my estate lawyer. You're this. And no one go get advice. No one go and pay money to the lawyer before anything happened to them to get advice from lawyer. No one gonna do that. When they get to the trouble, they go to lawyer. No one gonna go and sit with a doctor, family doctor, and get the advice for the quality of health and the eating habits and everything. And people just go do it and eat those foods that they shouldn't, and the sugar goes, blood pressure goes up, and suddenly they go seek the doctor.
Absolutely.
To me, it's not that another profession is more than others. Same things with we have cases that people pick up the phone and call, hey, I need to sit with you, but they are in trouble when they want to see us. So, however,
there are times when it's already too late.
Yeah, it's too late. However, when it comes to the financial money, we work hard to make money to create a lifestyle, but we don't know how money works. We cannot control the taxes. However, there are lots of tax laws and tax advantage opportunity that we need to be educated about.
Absolutely.
This is something people don't go. Exactly like that, they don't go to the doctor to get a health advice. Only they go when they get sick. So that will happen. Sometimes it's too late, sometimes it's not. So what we need to look at that when it comes to the financial literacies and knowing about money. We need to protect our money. We need to know about every line of how money works. If we look at our lifeline, everybody born, they have a time. So one day they're going to leave.
Yes.
No one going to stay here. I haven't seen anybody stay here forever.
That is true.
No. So, however, there are some financial events that we're going to face.
Yeah, everybody has to.
Everybody has that. From the child, that the newly born child, the first financial events they're going to hit is what? Is their educations.
Yes.
Are they prepared? The second financial, events they're going to hit if they want to have a family is a wedding. Are they prepared for it? The third one is a house. Are they prepared for it? The fourth one is the retirement, or they want to have some. Are they prepared for it? So these things needs educations and how they can prepare themselves for those events. Also, another things that we have financial responsibilities. Me as an adult person, I'm married, I have 2 kids. No matter what, at the end of the month, my kids are eating and I need a place to live in. I have some expense to make. All those financial responsibility is there. If I am not there, financial responsibility is there.
Yes.
So am I ready for that or not? So early stage, how can I take care of those financial responsibilities in the case and in the event of anything goes wrong? And then sometimes some emergency things come out along. Everybody has 6 months, every year has some emergency thing comes. Are we prepared for emergency? And these are all money related.
The classic example that we have seen is the COVID time. Imagine if the government did not support during COVID, how many people had emergency funds?
Rarely, a small number of people. Even we were advising 3 to 6 months of living expense needs to be emergency fund. To me, but this is my opinion, people need to be prepared 1.5 years to 2 years. Why? Because we saw that. We saw when COVID happens. people sitting, and they had two major worries. Number one, I don't have an income.
Yes.
Number two,
My expenses.
I'm running out of the money.
Yes.
I'm running out. I don't have any reserve. So government has to come and bail us out. And right now, inflation gonna hit, and the tax gonna grow, and we got that. And even we are paying back. Everyone paying back on those for those who received it.
Absolutely.
So we need to be. That's why we call it financial independent. That's why we need to work on the cash flow. We need to work for proper money management. When we say money management, we take care of the money and make sure we save money. We should make sure we grow money. Make sure we protect money. We protect responsibilities. All those things needs to happen to create a peace of mind. Unfortunately, people knows more about celebrities than their own financial things.
Absolutely.
People are more on the social media, scrolling up social media, who eat what, on which restaurants, and this celebrities right now enter this hotel, people are outside of the windows, everything, especially young individuals, than their financial well-being.
Yeah, and you said a very great point about that, going to the doctor. And we all realize that health coverage is free in Canada. Even then, people don't see the doctors.
Absolutely, because they don't have a habit of taking care of their own health, habit of taking care of financial health.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important.
And we also notice, Saeed, that statistics shows that 9 out of 10 individuals or families, or you can even say like 8 out of 10, are struggling financially, although they make 100K income, 100,000 plus. Some people are engineers, some people are IT professionals, all of them, like different professions, financial advisors and all that. But what habit could they change to come out of this paycheck to paycheck financial struggles, and what are some of the things that you would suggest?
This is a mindset. This is a mindset that people need to have. Do I want to rent my hours and my talent and my skills to the corporations? Because do not forget that the corporations or business owners are there, and this country is a land of opportunity. People have opportunity to get there.
Oh, I totally agree.
This is what I suggest also always to many people I discuss and say, listen, even you have a job, you need some side hustle with a better tax benefit.
Absolutely.
Side hustle with a better tax benefit. Because leaving a job, jumping to the business of self-employed is not everybody can handle that. Not everybody has that stomach to handle it. So, but people who have a job struggling, another $50,000 or $100,000 is going to help them as long as they are wise with their money.
Yeah.
Not that make money and spend it and get rid of all what they make. I saw many people with $200,000-300,000 at the end they're zero. They need to know. They need to be wise with their money. Know about how money works. Know about how tax advantage works. They need to know about how saving and growing their money. Also, if they don't have, I have many people. They have a job and they have a side hustle that is not job, because you have a second job, your tax income goes up, taxes go crazy. But if you have a side hustle, that you have a tax deductibility opportunity based on rules, on law. So you have more money in your hands to take care of your financial matters. And this mind needs to be shifted, because if you don't do that, what's the outcome? For me, if I continue this, what's the outcome? And if I have this transition parallel with my job, go to some platform and start the industry that I can have a potential to make more money. At the same time, I have a potential of a tax deductibility based on the law.
That's very important. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I have more money in the hands, and then let the money also support me, for me to build my financial independence. And that's all things. And when people are going to start doing that, then mind starts shifting, and maybe the opportunity comes that they go and totally do that.
Because now they're thinking that you're looking for an opportunity. If you're not looking, you will ignore anything that comes.
You develop by the time, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to be suddenly happen. Because if I am in a job for 10, 15 years, I go to the universities, get the degrees, everything to go get a job. I program myself for 10, 12 years of education and 3-4 years of the job. I cannot shift it suddenly, but if I don't put my hands on it and my feet on it, this mindset, then my mind start to occupy two things. Entrepreneur mind, half of my mind in business, half of my mind exposed to become an entrepreneur. And slowly I see the benefit. I slowly I see it's possible. And then if the opportunity come, transition happen. If opportunity wouldn't come, this transition won't happen. At least with the more money that I make and I'm wise with the money, I can build some financial independence. And many people does that. Many people does that.
I always say, if you have money, the opportunities will find you.
Of course.
But if you don't have it, you will never even identify that it's an opportunity because you're always lack of it.
Of course.
Right. So let's talk about some specifics. As per your experience, Saeed, there are something what we call as poor financial habits and something what we call as a healthy financial habits. What would you say is like top 3 habits that you have seen that is keeping people from paycheck to paycheck? And what are some of the habits that you encourage people, 1 or 2 or 3 habits that can actually get them out of that paycheck to paycheck or scarcity of money all the time?
The habits that we need to establish and build even with our jobs. Number one thing is that we should not live beyond our means. That's the number one thing.
Yes. Everybody has taught us.
It doesn't matter how much money you make. In a business or in a job, if you don't that habit, and if you make money and you spend all those things, this is the most dangerous things that keep people paycheck to paycheck. Always they need money.
Yes.
Always they need money. People need to look at this one, that if someone with a $50,000 per year income don't save money, with a $500,000 income, they're not going to save money.
Because they don't have a habit.
Because they don't have a habit. Everything is a habit.
Yes. Everything is a habit.
Most people say, when I make lots of money, I save.
Yes.
No.
I'll make more money, I'll do charity.
I saw lots of those people that they make lots of money and they don't save a penny. So saving, this is one of the habits people need to build. Habit of saving regardless of how much money you make.
Okay.
And then comes to build another habits, challenge themselves to be the same thing, want to be financial independent, professional independent. I want to have my own profession that don't depends on my boss or economy or everything. I want to build that is in my control, ownership of the profession.
Absolutely.
Ownership of profession is the habits. Some people also, they have this one, I want to make lots of money and don't work. This is not going to work. People who make more money, they work too. But they know, they own their profession. Yes. They know when to work, when don't work. This year, for the first time this year, I went during the holiday season, I went to Europe. And I regret. Say, I never do that. Why I did that this time? Because service was low, very crowded in Europe, crazy, and I didn't enjoy my work. So entrepreneurs choose the time of their vacations when everybody is working and is not busy. So ownership of the life, ownership of the profession, give us flexibility and give us a freedom of money and freedom of time.
Makes sense.
That's what we need to have. And that's a habit needs to be built, but people needs to be aware that's what they are looking for, they want. Unfortunately, many people, they don't know what they want.
First of all, they need to have a clarity which direction they are going, right? Like I always say in the GPS as well, you put the destination, but the second thing that the GPS asks is where are you standing?
Awareness.
Then only it's going to be the timeline. So it comes to the next question then. So let's say somebody has certain goals to achieve and they are limited on cash flow, let's say $500 to $1,000, and they say, I'm always tight, but they can do $500 to $1,000. But what I've seen is a mindset of people that is dangerous is they want immediate gratification. I want to grow this money, like next year it should be double, like another year it should be quadruple. Like, what would you suggest and how they can break that cycle of that immediate gratification, and what are some of the strategies?
Again, it comes to the mentality. For everything that we want to grow and have a big results, number one things that we know is not going to happen overnight. It's a long term.
Okay.
Success is a long term. Building successful business is long term. Shifting from employee to self-employed to the business owners is the process, and it takes time. building successful, portfolio in the real estate. In real estate, even they say real estate is a long-term investment.
Absolutely.
With a lots of cost, with a lots of upfront.
Lots of patience.
And lots of patience. Long-term, lots of cost, lots of upfront. In the long run, they're going to win. Yes, not in the short run.
Absolutely.
So every investment. But however, one of the things that people won't consider, they think about this, I want to go have a house or buy the real estate portfolio. To me, real estate portfolio is amazing things, but you can either start with the $500 or $1,000. But you can start saving money and growing your money, use the compounding, factors in the money for the long run in the proper way, wisely, and get a good return on that along the way, and start with the 500 and 1,000, and you increase it. And increase it and increase it. So increase cash flow, save money. I can give you my experience. When I was making a small amount of money, that 40, 50,000, 60,000, I was saving $300-400 per month.
Excellent.
$300-400, and then I figured that with this $300-400, I'm not gonna get anywhere. So what's gonna happen? But it was better than spending that $300-400.
Yes.
Then we start making more money. So when we start making more money, what we did? We add a little bit lifestyle. Yes, we added because we don't want to keep a very low lifestyle and just only save and save. We want to have a life too, but we add a little bit. Any extra dollar that we make. This is what will happen. We pay tax first.
Yes.
Whatever remain, we make it in two parts.
Yeah.
One is living expense. Second part goes to the investing and growing. It's not only saving and do nothing, investing and growing.
Investing and growing.
So tax needs to be paid, what's remaining. But this is what people does. People pay taxes and they spend all. So if we build this out, I start from that. And then increase, make more money. I paid, a little bit more tax. And we had, because I choose entrepreneurship and a business, I had a tax deductibility opportunity, reasonable tax deductibility opportunity. We did that. And yes, increase a little bit lifestyle. And then also we increase our saving. We get these three vehicles together. When we increase cash flow, we split it in three parts. Yes. Tax part goes. We don't owe government anything. We pay. Yeah. We take our lifestyle. We take our saving. Increasing cash flow, get there. And then you're going to say on the investment part, everything, you're going to diversify too. And that's a different story start to get there. But always increase the cash flow. Mm-hmm. Tax is going to go. Use the tax advantage, opportunities, tax deductibility opportunities, and a little bit lifestyle. And when your income goes up and you get certain level, don't increase your lifestyle more than what is needed.
Absolutely. You don't need to unnecessarily buy.
I do not need Lamborghini. It doesn't mean I cannot afford it. Yeah. That is my philosophy. And some people love it. I respect that.
Absolutely.
I respect that one, but that's my philosophy for this.
Yeah.
I rather have more money for my grandkids than spend it to the Lamborghini company.
Yeah.
That's what I see. But yes, did I have the great cars or all those things? Yeah, but we see what's the difference. We have to have a decent lifestyle. Mm-hmm. We don't say that always, you grow your lifestyle, you want to enjoy it too, but some of them is extra.
There was one time, there was an instance I can tell you with the experience. I'm sitting with a family and I say, let's start with a saving habit of $200 or $300 because they were not doing anything, just like a small saving, get them into a habit and increase it later on. We show them the results, what will happen in 10 years, and then with the compounding, there was a certain amount. The family was like, this is not even enough. So why save it? I said, it's going to be more than zero. Would you agree?
Of course.
And they go like, yeah, sure. I said, if you increase the habit, it's going to be way more than what you're... So now, if it is not going to be enough, that you see that, then you need to save more. Because if you don't save more, it's never going to be more. So they understood that habit and they started to work on that. But I think it's lack of education. Is a critical thing over there.
People need to start to see and add it up and grow it. There was a time someone had $11,000 in investments and we contacted, hey, you have $11,000 investment. I said, 11,000. I said, listen, how much money you put in right now? 11,000. I'm calculated for the person that, money growing, and it is almost 4, 5 years, 6 years, and money grow. Well, what? And I say, hey, this is not enough. You need to, right now that you build this habit of $5,000 investment, you need to put the habit of more.
Yeah.
and more. But people need to, nobody start with big.
Everybody starts small.
Everybody starts small.
Me and my wife, we started very small and we started with this into habit, but we created that habit when the money was less.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing we ever learned in this thing. So that's the next question I want to ask her. What is the best investment you have done and what did it actually teach you?
You know, the biggest return on my investment I have done, I invested on myself.
You answered my second question too. Okay, that's good.
I
always talk about
invested on myself.
Yes.
The biggest return comes when I invested on myself. I start to spend time. When I say invest, spend time, invest some money, read good books, go and meet people in the seminars, successful people, not marketing. You know, there's some people, you know, you go to a webinar, they want to sell you something. No.
Yeah.
Read some good books and you know, study the bio of successful people.
Absolutely.
That's very important. And I try to hang around with them. So it requires to invest money to go hang around with them. So I did that. That's the best investment. So that helped me to increase my thinking, my wisdoms, and increase the cash flow. And then also that cash flow, use it to invest in others. The biggest return, if you say the return, that return on investments, it increases our income 1,000% or 2,000%. That's
one investment that can never depreciate.
And then the money that you have, then you're going to go invest it. And different avenue, different return expected. Some people, you know, go in the real estate. Some people go in the stock market. Some people go in a mutual fund. Some people go in a different. And there are also, you will see the history.
Yeah.
But the history also shows people who invest in themselves get the biggest return. Until you don't invest in yourself, you're not going to invest in another area.
So true, because there's nobody to guide you on that. Now, there's a very popular saying, Saeed, how would you agree to that? They say, we are average of 5 people we hang around with, right? And now many people say, I want to hang around with, can we hang around with somebody in US, like us top billionaires and all that? So one thing that you said very important was that if you read their books, your autobiography or biographies for them, you're actually hanging around with their mindset because how they were thinking, what they do, how they do it, and that helps you develop your strength on the mindset towards the disciplines, financial habits, and even lifestyle.
Absolutely. You know, when I wasn't in a cash flow, so making 50, 60,000. How can I go? This is a question. How can I go hang around with someone making over $1 million, $2 million, $5 million? Then they don't have a space for me.
Absolutely.
And that was the things that I figured out that these days all those multimillionaires, they put their life on a book, on the audios, on the tapes. And that time we had DVD players and everything, and a little bit YouTube and their books. So I was home, but hanging around with the multiple successful author.
Yes.
That also, Tony Robbins is one of them. I was reading the Tony Robbins. John Maxwell was another one that I was doing. You know, Steve Sewell, 177 Mental Toughness was another thing that I learned.
You mentioned that you have this continuous playing in your car.
Yeah, I'm continuously playing. It's so funny, the story, if I can have a time and talk about that one with the Steve Sewell, what happens when you focus and put energy on that. So I was hanging around with the millionaires in their book at my home because I'm not in that. So that one changed the shift and the mind that I have and make that shift in my mindset and shift in my vision and my commitments and my discipline. Build a new discipline because there's a different type of discipline to have a job requires, different type of discipline to have a self-employed, and different type of discipline to be entrepreneur. So different type of commitment for the job, different type of commitment for self-employed, different type of commitment to be entrepreneur. So I have to build that commitment. I cannot build a business with a commitment of job.
Yes.
I cannot become self-employed, successful self-employed with a job commitment. So, and I cannot become a very successful entrepreneur with a self-employed commitment or disciplines and habits.
That is so true.
So what happened, I hang around and I develop. And when I develop it and grow my cash flow, and then I came across them slowly, because slowly you get closer to them. And then you choose another tools. And I remember that in one of the events that we had, Steve Sewell in 2007, the author of 107 Mental Toughness was the speakers. And he came to his books, and we started studying his books over and over from 2007. I thought that it was, I think it's 2012, 2013. I'm a speaker at the venue in Niagara Falls, and I'm one of their speakers that they got a hotel for me. I went there, and I'm going to talk to the big group of advisors over there. And I find out that Steve Sewell is there. I am sharing a stage with Steve Sewell. And we became friends together from that moment. More we talked. I was talking, he was sitting, he was talking, I was sitting, and we exchanged a number. Even have a cell phone, we contact each other. So that is going to happen, hanging around. So look at that. The point that you made. Look at it, it's normal. When I was at a $60,000, people I was hanging around, their income was $60,000. But another thing I learned, I have to always be among the group that I'm the least successful person in that group.
Absolutely.
If I'm in the top group, I'm not growing. Always I put myself and exposed to the group of people and hang around with the people that I am on the bottom of that group in terms of success. And then it gives me the room to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And many people take it as an ego. You know what? I don't want to be the lower of the group. I want to be the higher of the group. And that's what the mindset development is as you start to hang out with people. So as a businessman and investor, you've been a very successful businessman, you're a successful investor as well. How important is it to be emotionally detached from the investments, fluctuations in the market, and why would you say it's important?
When it comes to fluctuation of market, if people have the knowledge and informations, it's been there. Everything fluctuates.
Yes.
Every market fluctuates. You look at the history of any market that grow and build wealth.
Yeah.
Is a real estate market, is any market. It fluctuates. There is no up market. Yes, there are markets that it won't fluctuate, but it won't grow.
At all, yeah.
It won't grow. It has a very low growth and won't fluctuate, and is very safe, which is safe by itself, but it won't grow. So if anything wants to grow, the fluctuation is there. So if I know the fluctuation is there, and I'm not gonna go emotionally sit in that roller coaster, I'm not gonna go there. I know this is a part of it. People, they get to that emotional roller coaster because they need immediate return, immediate result.
Absolutely.
And they don't know when they get to that market. Look at that. People get to the market of real estate in 2022. Right now, they lose money.
Yeah.
So they have to be patient. They have the market fluctuate. It doesn't matter. You don't know when you get into the market. But if you have a discipline of ongoing saving in any market, and wait and let it fluctuate and put your emotion out, then you're not going to be worried. People do not have that thinking, and they don't have that emotional strength, and they do not have that fluctuation understanding. That's very important.
The reason why I ask this is because, like you say, the surgeons are not recommended to do up surgeries on their own family because the emotions come in place.
Yeah.
Same thing what we have realized with our experience, I've seen in the last 12 years, like people investing their own money are the ones who actually take emotional decisions.
Of course.
Because if you have a financial advisor, they will help you not to do that. They will guide you not to do that.
Unless you become expert on that things that you become expert. At the beginning, any things I did by the other advisors, experienced advisor. After that, on the line that I am expert,
yeah,
I do it. It's not, I cannot, like a surgeon, do surgery on myself.
Absolutely.
But regarding taking care of my money and grow money, I can have a control. But you need to be expert on that. You need to see. You need to at least live a decade or 2 decades in all those markets to see all ups and downs and what's happening, the recovery, all those. And look at that one. That needs to come.
So let's move on to let's continue with the same talk about then long-term compounding. What would be, for the people who are listening to us over here, is many people don't understand the compounding impact in the long term. So if you have to explain in the simple terms, what is compounding? And how can somebody take advantage of that compounding to grow their wealth, of course, in the long term? Because compounding, as you know, will not show in the short term.
Yeah, this is very important when it comes to compounding. Compounding is doubling the money.
Yes.
And 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, what will be the compounding rate? It's
Yes.
the understanding of concept.
Yes.
Compounding is a concept of doubling and growing your investments. Then people need to look at that, how this compounding works in the industry. And you talk about risk and the fluctuations. When it comes to the most investments that fluctuates periodically, if your investment has the opportunity to regularly invest on that, in that fluctuations, you mitigate and manage the risk, also increase the compounding effect. Because when market goes down, still you're investing, you are having a lower price for entry.
Absolutely.
And then when it goes up, manage it with those that they were in a higher market. So in many investments, you have opportunity to do that and to take care of that part and get that compounding effect. And compounding shows the power of it towards the later years. That's very important. For example, if we go with the average rate of return of 8% or 10%, for example, in 7 years or 7.2, the money get doubled.
Yeah.
So if someone has accumulate 40,000 and this 40,000 will be doubled in 7 years and become 80,
Yeah.
so you add 40,000 to 40,000 and there's a 40,000 growth in 7 years.
Yes.
And in the next compounding is the 80,000 growth on 7 years.
Wow.
On the next compounding is 160,000 growth in the 7 years or 10 years, 12 years. And the last compounding can be 320 or maybe later compounding will be. So the time systematically put money in all fluctuation and benefit from growth of it, that compounding is powerful towards the end. And that's a patient required.
So somebody gets impatient with the investments for the long term, they will never see the compounding.
No, they won't see compounding. Those people lose money.
Again, coming back to the emotional side of it,
Of
right?
course.
Roller coaster.
Roller coaster is a long term. Always growth is long term. It's not a short term. You need to have opportunity. You know, one of the things that you can save $500, $1,000 monthly, but you cannot go every month buy house. You cannot to use the fluctuation of housing market.
That's so
you
true.
cannot because it's a big purchase, a big leverage, it's a big capital. But you know, not everybody, and unfortunately, people wants to build wealth through their primary residence. Always I tell them, primary residence is not an investment.
Yes.
Primary residence is not an investment. Primary residence is a place that you live in, and whatever remaining at the end, you pass it to your next generation.
Absolutely.
That's all.
As simple as that, you know, because of the primary residence. So have you noticed in the primary residence as well, or the otherwise, you tell people that we're going to do an investment plan for you. Let's start with say $500 to $1,000, husband and wife combined, and just save it for next 30 years for your retirement. The obvious objection comes from people sometimes is, and I'm talking about common people, the thought process that is there is, oh, it's too long of a commitment. It's too long of a commitment. And I always tell them, you committed 30 years to your mortgage.
Absolutely.
You can't commit 30 years towards your own wealth. Like, it just does not.
You know, mommy, it's again lack of financial education.
I think 100%. 100%.
People go and sign a $1 million mortgage without reading the paper what they get into.
So true.
What? But the emotional purchase.
And then they say, I have a house. I said, how much is the down payment? 20%. That's 200,000. Who has more money in there? 800,000. So who owns the house? Bank.
We own a loan. We own a loan.
We own
a loan. House is not us. You know, I know someone recently. The mother is 80 years old today.
Wow.
Is 80 years old. Has $550,000 mortgage.
You serious? It's a primary residence.
Primary residence. And right now she's transferring this house to her daughter. Daughter is 50.
She's gonna carry it to.
And she's gonna carry it, and she has to get approved for what, $550,000 on mortgage. And when you go, is the refinance or rebuilding is a brand new mortgage, yeah? Because ownership will be transferred. The mortgage will be new mortgage on the daughter at the age 50, and it's gonna go 25 years mortgage, $550,000, and they're 50 years old, Daughter goes to age what? 75. Mom went till age 80, and the daughter gonna go to the what? Age 75. So buying a house is good if you have a good cash flow. And who tells us that we have to wait till 25 years to pay mortgage? Who tells us?
Yeah. It's the banks. It's a common.
It's the banks. You know, if someone makes $500,000 and $250,000 pay tax, and then go and another $250,000, $100,000 on that, leave on that, and another $150,000 in 10 years can buy a $1.5 million house cash without any problem.
Absolutely.
Or if they have a mortgage, in 7, 8 years, 10 years, they can pay off that mortgage. Who tells us that we have to pay 25 years mortgage? Again, we get back to power of cash flow.
Yeah, so true. So you touched upon my next question on that is, so let's say somebody's brand new to Canada, they want to buy their first house, so they're looking for investment property. Would you recommend them to buy their first house, primary residence, compared to, would you recommend them to buy a business which generates cash flow?
I had a philosophy, I'm from the city that we are big in the business. Mm-hmm. Always, my brother-in-law passed away, we had a business back home. He always has a philosophy. From business, we make money. We buy a house. From house, you cannot build a business and buy the business. House is going to create expense. To me, again, get back here. From business, if I am a young and I have some money aside, I find I want to go to the business, and then through business I make money and buy the house.
Okay.
It's not that they shouldn't buy the house. But if I have money, I'm not going to go to the job and then go what? Put that money, $150,000 in a house, and go live in that house. And because of the economy situation, something goes, I'm off the job, then I'm going to struggle to pay the mortgage and everything. Or I have to go sell that house in a lower price, pay all the costs and everything, and lose money on that. To me, but on the other hand, also, we've got to look at one thing. Is this person ready to go to the business?
Yes.
Or wants to go to the... It comes, again, everything comes about decision, thinking, where they want to...
And the mindset.
And going in their life. And many people did that. Some people came in a very special circumstances, in a very special situation of the economy, and they built some portfolio to real estate, very successful. But it's not always like that, and you got to look at the timing, look at the economy, everything. Many things need to be considered when someone want to go to the...
So let's take an example. Say, like 25-year-old has around $70,000 to $80,000 saved, which you're gonna laugh, like I haven't seen too many of them, but let's say 30 years old, have $70,000 to $80,000 saved, and making good $150,000, husband and wife as a couple. Would you recommend them to buy the house, first house, putting the down payment, let's say $100,000?
If husband and wife working, and they have a job, mm-hmm. and they want to stay in a job, and they have $150,000. Number one, we're going to find that family. I'm every day visiting families. Rarely you find some families, couples by age 27, 26, they have $150,000, and both are bringing home $120,000. If we have that one, and they need a house, they need a place to live. But one thing I know, they should not put everything in one basket.
I was looking for that answer, yeah.
People should not go only one line.
Yeah.
If this, people when they want to buy any invest, they want to invest in anything, a couple of things they need to consider. The upfront capital, yes. How much needed. Risk, what risk they are taking. And what cash flow requires. Do they have to support it? What are the costs? What is the cost of that investment?
Absolutely. Also, they have the money saved aside for contingencies.
They need to have a good enough reserve for 2 years of supporting that. That's what they see. Then they go there, but to that investments or that go to get. They need to live in a house instead of renting. That to me, that one, yes, there is a opportunity to go, but don't go put all your money over there.
That is so true. I've seen so many people doing that mistake, and then they're always in a crunch.
You need to be very diversified in a different sectors, real estates and investments and everything. Insurances is another way to build a next generation wealth, tax free. People have zero information on that, unfortunately, and get there. There are opportunities that they can use some cash value inside of it and enhance their retirement in a proper way, and that requires lots of knowledge and information.
And again, sitting with a financial advisor.
They sit with someone who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
People need to know what they do, and they get there and they educate. The good things that we do our best to educate our families and educate peoples that come across us and get there. We need to teach people about money. That's very important.
So, Saeed, let's talk about the recent economic changes that are happening. The tariffs are coming up and the interest rates are getting cut, right? But we haven't seen the movement in the market for real estate purposes that much. So, how do you think that Canadian economy is going to be impacted with these tariffs? Again, it's based on your experience because many businesses will have different experiences altogether. So, we're going to talk about the Canadian economy and how it's going to impact the business owners who are running their businesses with the interest cuts and the tariffs getting impacted.
I'm not an economist. That's number one thing. However, the experience that they have in financial industries, we just came out of the inflations, a little bit of inflation from the pandemic times, and we hit with a tariff. And the tariff is good and it's bad too. It's good for the country some people start stepping up, and all the products that they bring it to the country start building inside of the country. Entrepreneurs are going to step up and become creative and make the country independent. That's a good side of it.
That is also
However, that's a long-term outcome. It's not the immediate. The immediate impact of tariff is going to be a higher inflation.
Wow.
Cost of living is going to go up. That's what's going to happen. So again, someone with a good cash flow, this thing is not going to bother them. Someone with a low cash flow, this is going to bother them. Yes, so people have a high cash flow. 10%, 15% more expense is not going to hurt them.
Yes.
10% more tax is not going to hurt them. So these are the things that 23 years ago, I decided, I have a mentor, and I talk to him periodically, and wonderful persons. His name is Monty. And he told me, said, if you fly at a 70,000 feet altitude, if your plane goes down 10,000, you're not going to crash.
Yes, that is so true.
And how about if you're flying in 1,000 feet altitude, the little bit, turbulence, and the nose is a little bit down, you're going to crash.
Yes, my father makes a joke of that. He says, no matter how much diet an elephant can do, it will never become a mouse.
No.
It will still be an elephant.
Yeah.
So the cash flow is the king. That's what I always say.
So cash flow, saving wisely, diversify your saving, different sector, real estate, investment, everything, and work. But, we're going to help people also with a little bit of money.
Yes. So you have a lot of wealth of experience in the industry, in the financial side, and your life experience as well. So if somebody has to buy the first house side, how do they determine that it's a right time to buy it? And what are the things they need to make it as a checklist that, okay, fine, I have this. Now it's a time I can move forward. I can go and buy my first house.
Very good questions. This is my experience. Number one. Am I buying it cash or I need mortgage? Most people have a mortgage and loan.
In Canada, mortgage.
So that's a couple of things people need to look at that. Okay. For me, number one, and the mortgage in Canada, either is 3 years or 5 years, and after 5 years interest, we don't know what's the interest. In the United States, there's a 30 years mortgage,
Absolutely.
So they can plan ahead. In Canada, this is a problem we have. That's why many people go to trouble. Yes. At the time they started, interest was low. But 5 years after, look at that. Right now, all the renewal mortgages happened 5 years ago. They have 1.2, 1.9%. Right now, it's a 5%, 6%. So this is one of the things that people need to consider that. People need to go look at average last 50 years, what is the rate on a mortgage? I have my homework done. I'm telling that. Last 50 years, interest mortgage, if you average it, 5%. So you need to be prepared for a 5%.
I think that's what the banks are checking your cash flow based on, 5%. Yeah. Say if you can do it at 5%.
So even right now is 2%. Last 50 years in Canada, mortgage rate, average it 5%. Yeah. And on the other hand, last 50 years, real estate in Ontario is around 6% gross.
Okay.
Gross growth 6.5%. Yes, there are some sectors that maybe had 20% 1 year and became flat. Look at that. We had around 2020, we had 15-20% growth. Right now from 2022, right now 2025. What was the growth on that?
Hardly any.
Hardly anything. So then you average it out, we end up with the same 5%, 6%.
So with a compounding rule, every 12 years it's doubling.
Yeah, we got to look at that. So what will happen is a gross return. Because you have the 5% average interest rate on an 80% or 70% or 65% or 90% of the what? Value. Yeah. So in another word, if you are paying 5% on the 80% or 90%, it means you pay 4% on 100% of the value of the house.
Yeah.
Make sense? So you are positive 1%, and then you have property tax. Then you have maintenance, everything. So you're going to calculate those things. So you got to find out when is the best time to get into the market is started. To me, when the interest rate is low.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Return is much bigger than the what? Interest rate and the cost.
That you're paying, yeah.
Okay. This is number one thing. Number two, you need to check your cash flow. That if this mortgage goes up to 5%, I am able to pay my mortgage. Mm-hmm. This is number two. Number three. Do they have 1 year or 1.5 years of the mortgage payment aside? Nothing to do with the mortgage payment aside. And if they want to get to that, they get. I suggest people go more than 30% down payment. They don't go with a 5%, 10%. Go more than 30% down payments and build it. Don't go build a cash flow, set the target. You know, my first house I want to buy, I look at that, I need $100,000 to put down, and I set the plan in our business in a 5 months. Not only I made my living expense, I saved $100,000, and I put it there, and I start putting down and get there. We became debt free very fast.
So same thing, concept that you were covering, Saeed, earlier is as well that let's say you have $150,000, but don't put all of it in the down payment. Keep some for the mortgage contingencies. At least for a year or two, you should have it.
So put some of them in the short-term saving.
Yes. Not even the long-term that you can't even encash it for emergencies, right? Which is very good. Now, there's another analogy that has been there, popular, everybody talks about it, that, you know what, skipping on or adjusting some of the things that we do on a daily basis, like buying coffees, expensive lattes, and having a meal every time lunch outside when you go to work. So what we call is a brown paper bag concept, or taking your own food with you. And that can create significant amount of savings by the time you retire. Do you agree with this strategy, or if you want to add upon it, and like how can it really make a difference? For me, I see it's a habit to start with, but I would like to get your understanding of it.
No, one of the things that we look at that these days, people who drink coffee, we're going to coffee at Starbucks, and $6-7 coffee.
Yeah, it's not even.
Tim Horton is what? How much? I don't drink coffee. $4 coffee. The quality is not good.
Not that good.
People can have coffee at their home with a much better quality of the Starbucks and Tim Horton with a much lower price. So they're not eliminating their coffee drinking if they are a coffee drinker, but what they're gonna do, they save money on that because the rest goes to the what? It goes to the Starbucks. Do you want to make a Starbucks rich, or you want to make yourself, financially independent? So these things, I am pro on that.
So it's like adjustment, not sacrifice.
No, you don't. You restructure.
Yeah, restructure it. That's
You
why
restructure it.
Yeah.
You keep. We don't compromise the quality of life. Even we make it better.
It's actually get better
Make it
and
better,
healthier.
and also save more money. Once in a while, maybe on the way, you want to go sit in an environmental Starbucks with a friend, have one. That's a different.
Yes.
But if you're regularly going drive-through, that's a problem.
Some people have morning routine, like
Yeah.
I'm going to the work, I gotta grab that. Morning, like afternoon lunch, I'm gonna grab that. Like
Same things for the restaurants and the eating out.
yeah,
To me, with the less money, you can have a healthier food at home
yes,
and carry with yourselves. And you do not need to pay all those service fees and all those things and save more money. Once in a while, you take your family also to the, your restaurants.
And also
your
enjoy it,
food.
yeah.
They enjoy it. But not that I saw many people always are in a, you see people in the mall, what they call it, food courts. They grab those things. Quality of food is not good in those fast foods.
not at all.
And also, look at before pandemic right now. You pay people pay for the fast foods in the food court the same people pay restaurant before the pandemic.
price.
Right now, restaurant prices get doubled and tripled.
Yeah.
There was a time that 4 people can go to the almost not to a very high end, but the regular restaurants and eat with $120 for 4 of them. Right now, they have to pay $300, $400. Doesn't make sense to me. Why? You can have a great quality food at home, make it and have it for the different meals and keep the quality of life, keep healthy life, and save money.
And you rightly said, once in a while is okay.
Once in a while,
but it
go
should
to
not
the
be a
restaurant.
daily habit.
No, it was a New Year. We take our families for Persian New Year. We take the Persian restaurants that has the music, so everything's a restaurant. But mostly what we do, we cook at home, honestly. I cook it, my wife cook it, especially right now, summer barbecues out. Why should we that? Save money. Save money. If you don't take care of money, money is not going to take care of you.
That's so true. That's so true. So now coming to like some closing questions with you, because I don't want to. I really appreciate your time and your knowledge and that. So let's talk about when you came to Canada, when you started in the financial industry. You must have changed your thought processes in the duration of your career. Something that you would have noticed. If you had that knowledge what you have now, how life would have been different from the time you would have started?
If they always, this is something people ask. If you know and we don't know, we have to experience it. We have to lose it to gain that experience. For every experience, we pay the price, either time or money.
Absolutely.
And also, human nature, don't listen to the other people's experience. They want to experience themselves.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But honestly, if I want to get back, I started much more focus, put more time, and because I was overthinking for a start.
I think that's what everybody who comes new to Canada says.
Overthinking, overanalyzing.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I won't do. I did, and many people don't do their homework. I did my homework, but I overthink, I overanalyze. I want to consider every line of it, to make sure everything is perfect. But I find out that even I want to make everything perfect, nothing is perfect.
Nothing is perfect.
I have to go, learn from experienced persons, hang around and shoulder by shoulder, someone has done it that can show me what is right, what is wrong. We cannot go blindly and do something. And fortunately, we have it in our business and our business platform. Experienced people are beside you. Absolutely. To show you the right path. And you have to be ready to listen. And then you figure it out along the way that, that's a smart way. Leveraging experience, leveraging talents, that's the way to go. I use more leverage than I go personally myself, try to figure it out and overanalyze and predicts everything. If today I get back, I go doing that. And definitely I save more money. Because also I waste some money, don't forget. At the beginning when you don't have money and suddenly you get a chunk of money, you're going to go start wasting some money. I did waste it. We were making lots of money, but we wasted a lot too. We should keep the quality of the life and also don't waste
that kind of
millions.
But again, with a God's blessing that you're able to understand it in time, and it's before it's too late, and you start to control. That's where the mentorship comes. That's where our leaders who have been helping us throughout in the business. I really appreciate it. Now, I'm coming to that one or two thoughts of yours, and to close it with, let's say if it's a conservative family, conservative lifestyle, they want to have some investments, not exposure to the risk. How would you tell them to take their baby steps, move forward? What they should be looking at?
It's, again, we're going to start with the small and taste the water, and also test yourself too. Start with the small and taste the growth, and also test the situations. You're going to start with that. Find the path that with the experienced persons that tells you, and listen and find out, and start taking actions. Start taking the first baby steps. A journey of 1,000 miles start with the first steps. And have faith also that things going to be good. Things going to go well. We are living in a timing that things doesn't look good, but people need to have faith that, okay, things going to be good. One thing I believe that God provides us opportunity, and God provides us experienced people, and God provides us platform that we're going to see it, and we're going to learn it, we're going to use it, we're going to leverage it, and get this going. People with a small amount of money, the number one things that I always believe, I lost my brother-in-law when I was, I was just getting married. I lost my sister's husband, passed away with the two kids, my two nephews.
I'm sorry.
And they didn't have any money left, and I have to take care of that. The first things is important. I want to encourage everyone, if anybody hear me or see me at that time, first protect your families, that if any loss happen in the family, financially will be okay. That's the number one thing people need to do. When I came to Canada, the first thing I did, I protect my families and told my wife that, okay, we are protected. If something goes on, I don't know. When it's my time to go, we don't know.
Nobody
so wisely, we need to do that to secure our families. People, I saw, honestly, last 23 years, I saw many families devastated in a very bad situations that they don't have any protections. And they need to have a proper protections, a good advisor to sit there. Have that one first. That's very important. That's the foundation of the family. That's the foundation of families that build it based on the protecting the families.
Absolutely.
If I want to build financial foundation, and I want to go build massive wealth, that's okay. I want to go become financially independent. But today my family is not protected. Yes. I don't know I'm going to get there or no. What will happen? I need to secure, and when I go home and I sleep, I don't know tomorrow I'm up or no. But if tomorrow I'm not up, my family won't suffer financially. So at the earliest stage, the life insurance is very important.
So that illusion of nothing will happen to me, I don't believe
that's out. I saw many people told me this, and it happened, unfortunately, and we saw the bad things happen. And the first things, we know that. This is one thing. And the second thing is that people need to start saving for the short term and start saving for long term. Saving needs to go into two lines, short term and long term. Short term for emergency, long term for retirement. And then you have this one, these three, then you make more money, then go buy the house, go real estate, do whatever, all that. And some people want to do exotic investment like Bitcoin and those stock, Tesla, all those things. We cannot risk and gamble our families, peace of minds or retirements or our short-term financial needs on those exotic investments. We cannot gamble with that. First, to set up those things, and if we have more and we want to put those exotic investments, why not?
Absolutely. That's you answered my last question that I was going to talk about, is the one piece of financial advice that you wish everybody knew. And you talked about that, protecting your family, which is so important. And that's a foundation. That's a foundation that I always talk about to families, that if you do not have that, everything else is just hope. And hope is not a financial strategy, because everything is dependent on that hope that you will be there to do those investments.
Absolutely. Let me share with you that we came all the way so far today for this podcast. I hope that it's going to be beneficial for people. I have experience. There was a couple with a 10 years old boy, and it was around 20 years ago. And I sat with them, and they had regular jobs and everything. And I told them the importance of what? Protections. And wife wants to get, husband doesn't want. No, we don't need it.
Yeah.
And wife tried also to start a business with us, part-time. Unfortunately, after a couple of months, wife got to an accident and passed away, 10 years old boy remaining. The surprising thing was, husband came to me and said, while she was here, yes, I was against the life insurance, everything. Does she get any life insurance from you? And he was looking, at that moment he was looking that wife get a life insurance and he can benefit to take care of the son.
Wow.
And that was something that I said, don't you think it was better that do it for all of you at that time? I hope these things never gonna happen to any families, but we cannot predict. We need to take care of our families because when the time comes, it's too late.
Again, it's all about the knowledge. It's all about the openness to listen, and with an open mind. Because I see many people like, no, I don't want to listen. When they don't listen, they miss on the opportunity.
We cannot force it. We have to educate, aware, and just move on.
I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's been a great first podcast with you, Saeed.
Thank you for having me here.
I really
it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.